There comes a moment, usually in your 30s, where you stop asking, what do I want to do? And you start asking, who am I becoming? Not the version of you that's polished for social media, not the version of you that performs for the approval of others, but the real version of you. That's the one that's been quietly calling for your attention through discomfort, sometimes through failure, and other times through frustrations. Today's not about hype, it's about healing, it's about clarity, and it's about truth. These are 10 mindset shifts that changed my life before 40, and if you let them, they'll change yours too. Mindset shift number 1. You don't find yourself, you build yourself. We grew up with this idea that finding ourselves is a journey that we start on and one day everything just magically clicks. But the truth is, you don't find yourself, you create yourself. You build yourself through the habits you choose, the boundaries you set, the beliefs you challenge, and even the pain that you're willing to heal. Think of it this way. You're not a treasure buried somewhere. You're a house under construction. And every brick that is laid is a decision. Every blueprint drawn is a value. You are becoming one conscious step at a time. It's important to ask yourself, what version of me am I building? And if you don't like the answer, change the blueprint. Mindset shift number 2. Confidence is a byproduct of courage, not certainty. One of the things that I learned is that you don't wait until you feel confident to act. You'll be waiting forever. But you act first with courage, and confidence follows. I used to think speakers were born confident. And then I heard Les Brown, one of the greatest speakers of all time, tell the story about how before one of his greatest speeches, he was so scared that he locked himself in the bathroom and didn't want to come out. And I remember my first speech. I was scared, I was shaking, I was sweating, but I survived. And at the end, I didn't feel confident. I just made a decision not to quit. And that was enough. And so the key thing to remember about this mindset shift is that courage builds confidence while waiting for certainty kills it. So what's one thing that you've been waiting to feel ready for? Stop waiting. Take a step, all the while knowing that a shaky step forward is still a step forward. The third lesson I learned before 40 is not everyone deserves access to every version of you. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about boundaries for a minute. Boundaries aren't rejection, they're protection. And one of the most powerful lessons I learned is I can love you and still limit your access to me. Well, and you might be sitting here thinking, well, that's mean. You don't just cut people off that way, that's mean. Here's the thing. There are certain people in your life currently that are not equipped to hold that healed, bold, elevated version of you. And that's okay. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some you have to put up in the balcony. So who are you overexposing yourself to emotionally? It might be time to close some tabs. Mindset shift number 4. Your triggers are teachers. Here's the thing about triggers. You can ignore them, you can avoid them, but they're still going to show up. And triggers aren't weaknesses, no. In reality, they are unhealed wounds asking to be seen and healed. I once heard a quote that if it's hysterical, it's historical. That just means that the reaction you had, you know the reaction, the one where you flew off the handle, it's rarely about the moment, it's about what the moment mirrors. So journal your last emotional overreaction. What part of your past did it remind you of? That just might be your next healing assignment. The 5th thing I learned before 40 is growth often feels like grief. It means letting go of the old you. One of the things that no one talks about is the loneliness of leveling up. And sometimes the hardest part of growing into your best self is grieving who you used to be, the friends you used to have, the experiences that you used to be a part of. A snake has to shed its skin to grow, but shedding doesn't always feel like a success. Often it feels like a loss. On your growth journey, you'll miss the comfort, you'll miss the certainty, you'll miss the version of you that didn't have to stretch all the time. But I want you to hear me. If you don't grieve that version, you'll never grow into the next one. What part of your identity are you still clinging to because it feels safe, even though you've outgrown? The sixth lesson I learned before 40 is you are not your mistakes, but you're still responsible for them. Listen, forgiveness doesn't erase accountability. Yes, you're worthy of love. Yes, you are worthy of healing, but you're also responsible for repairing what you broke. But the lesson is that owning your mistakes isn't weakness, it's integrity. So remember, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be accountable. Who do you need to apologize to? Call them today. Not to clean your conscience, but to clean your character as you elevate. Mindset shift number 7. Discipline is the ultimate self-respect. Discipline isn't punishment. It's protection, it's self-preservation. It's how you honor your vision. It's how you keep promises to yourself. And I want you to remember this. Every single time you choose discipline, you are sending the message that I am worth the effort. So what are some areas that you've been inconsistent in? Don't you dare wait for motivation. Schedule it, then make discipline a daily decision. The 8th thing I learned before 40 is life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. Life will never stop throwing punches. You might have believed that because you are a good person, because you lived your life in a certain way, because you've honored people and you tried to walk in integrity, that life was going to take it easy on you. Now, I don't think you'll go through as much as someone who doesn't do those things, but it rains on the just and the unjust. And at first, when you're experiencing those punches from life, it beats you down. But eventually, with perseverance, with learning more about yourself and learning more about others, you become the person that no longer flinches when life threatens you. And it's important for me to tell you this. Strength isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about knowing that whatever shows up, you will not shrink. You will not fold. You will not give in easily. And as you grow in life, you're able to look back and reflect on something that happens and think, man, that would have broken me 5 years ago. But now I'm able to handle this situation with grace. And if you're there, celebrate it. Because like I said, life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. The 9th thing I've learned before 40, later is a lie dressed up as logic. We love to say later, but most of the time, later just turns into never. And number 9 is a wake-up call. That your dream isn't waiting. Your healing isn't waiting. Your assignment is not waiting. So why are you? Eventually you get to the point where you start to evaluate your surroundings and your decisions. And there might even be someone watching me who has a dream. They have a business on the inside of them, but they're waiting. You're someone that knows that working this job every single day, asking a grown man or a grown woman for permission to go hang out with your family, feels like you're back in elementary school and you're asking for a hall pass to go use the restroom. And if you're there, I get it. I understand it. I have felt it. But you have to stop postponing the very things that can shift your life from where you're at right now to where you want to be. And sometimes that means starting as ugly or messy as it might be in the current moment. So the lesson of number 9 is start today. Not perfectly. You may not even be walking into the fullness of it, but start today. The 10th thing I learned before 40 is that your identity must evolve to match your destiny. To put it plainly, you can't walk into a hopeful future with an outdated identity. I heard someone put this so simply the other day, but I loved it. It was a simple statement of, in order to change your life, you've got to change your life. And often things feel stuck. And it's possible that the reason that you feel stuck is your vision is asking for an upgraded version of you, and you're still running on the old code. You know how your phone gets when you never update the software? That might be where you're at currently. I'm trying to download this new app. Bruh, on a Nokia? You can still play Snake on that. What you mean? Come on, millennials, y'all know Snake. But this is what happens when you put next-gen software on a decade-old system. It crashes. And so some of you that are watching me, you want new opportunities, but you're still operating from old insecurities. The new you is going to require updated software. And just like we constantly get updates on our phone, that's the way our lives are. And you start thinking, man, Lord, didn't I just get an update? I challenge you to write down who your future requires you to be and identify what parts of you will have to be updated to operate the new software. The biggest shift I've had before 40 was realizing that mindset is everything. Not just because it changes how you think, but because it changes who you become. So here's your challenge. In the comments, write, I'm not waiting, I'm becoming. And tell me which one of the 10 lessons I had to learn resonated most with where you're at current. This is just the beginning. I'm gonna do 10 more in the next episode. Until then, always remember that growth is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm in it with you, and I'll see you on the next one.